It's an absolute honour to be here on the platform to share with you some of the upcoming trends for men's hairdressing. So we've got our model Cruz here, and we're going to work on a kind of a modern day shag for a guy. All right, so taking lots of inspiration from the 1970s, working with this beautiful hair texture and working a little bit more of a modern day kind of laid out shag. Okay, so how we're going to approach it is we've sectioned off the hair to make it a little bit faster for you, and then we'll literally approach it through. So let's take you through it. We did a centre parting all the way through, so from forehead all the way down to nape. And if we go on a profile, you'll be able to see that we worked from the crown to the top of the ear, like a little radial section. And then in the front of Cruz's head, we literally work like a triangle section. So if I get Cruz to just pop his head slightly forward there, then you can start to see in front of the crown, diagonal backs to create like a little triangle, okay? So that's how we've literally clipped out the top area there. And then in the back of the head, we're literally working like a little horseshoe section. So just horseshoeing all the way down, keeping it below the crown and above the O bone, and then we're just isolating that top section out the way. Okay, so then this is going to be layered later and creating a little bit more texture, creating a bit more of a shag feeling to it as well. All right, so it's a triangle going into like a little curving section just through the back area. All right, so how am I going to approach the haircut? I'm going to cut through the front area first. So I'm going to take a section out. So just to make it a bit quicker, we just pre-sectioned. So I'll make it through there. I'm going to work parallel to the parting. Okay, so my section is diagonal through the front here. So if I go a little bit more on a profile, you'll be able to see. So literally working diagonal, get the sections nice and clean, a nice clean diagonal. And then on the base, so I'm going to introduce some layering here because he's got a lot of hair. So his density of hair is fine, but a lot of it, and he's got a beautiful natural curl. So we want to encourage that movement in his hair as well. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to put this on the base. I'm going to point cut through. Okay, so my elevation is 90 on the base. Okay, so I'm just working 90. I'm going to introduce a layer all the way through. If you want to point cut it like so, or you can either slice it, it's whatever you prefer. And then what we're going to do then, the rest of the hair then, underneath that guy, is traveling. So it's going to travel up to that stationary guideline. So it's over directing. All right, so the first section was on the base. And then the rest of the hair now, as you can see, I'm traveling away from Cruz's hairline, and we're maintaining a little bit of length and weight through there as well. I just want to put a little bit of a layer in there before we chop into the outline. So we're layering first, and then we'll do the outline in a moment. Okay, so that's the first side done. Okay, so working parallel to the parting, first section on the base, and then the second section over directed to that stationary guideline, and then we'll do exactly the same now on the opposite side. Okay, so I'm going to mirror the parting. So this parting is diagonal. I'll just mirror that parting, bring that on the base at 90. Take the opposite side guideline, so that short piece what I've just cut, I can use that as my guideline. So I can use that as my guideline. I can see a little short piece there, and then I'm just literally point cutting through. Okay, I'm using our 7 inches scissors. So these are our own personal brand of scissors, Edge. We have Edge scissors, and these are our 7s. Okay, these are our 7-inch scissors, working with like an offset feeling. Okay, so these are our 7s that we're working from. I like to work with the 7s because we're customizing. And what that means, when I'm point cutting, or I'm doing a little bit of customization, or if I'm doing any scissor over comb, I personally prefer to use a larger blade. Okay, so because I'm point cutting, that's why I've decided to use the 7s today. Okay, so over directing all that hair now to that stationary guideline. So the first section was on the base, and then the second section we just literally over direct everything to that guideline. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll let that drop down to its natural form. Okay, and then now I'm going to start to work on a little bit more of a moppy kind of feeling within the fringe. Okay, so working parallel to the section. So I'm going to bring this over Cruz's face, Yeah, and we're going to eliminate some of the length now. So layering, we've literally reduced some of the weight, and now we can go in and tidy up some of this outline. So combing down to natural fall, and my fingers are going to be parallel to the parting. So as you can see, what the first parting we put in there was a diagonal back section. So my fingers are going to be parallel to the section, okay, or parallel to the parting. Right, so we're just literally bringing everything forward. So we're opening up the face, yeah, and we're taking it a little bit shorter through that front area, looking more of like a rounded kind of shape, more of a 70s kind of feeling, working with his natural curl as well, so we know it's going to work really well. Okay, so bringing that forward. Okay, and then we'll do exactly the same now on the opposite side. We're starting in the centre and then working parallel to the parting. Just point cutting through. And then that's all the front completed. So we've layered and then we've eliminated some of the length in front. So we've opened up the front area, getting a little bit too long, a little bit too moppy through the front. So now it's got a little bit shorter, so it's a bit more versatile for him to wear when he's dressing his hair himself. Okay. And then what you can do then, you can just check your balance, just make sure you're happy with that, and then you just move that around and see how it's looking. For a salon situation, just get it out of his eyes for now. Yeah, just let that fall just naturally. Okay, so that's all finished with the front section. So now we're going to go into the nape area. Okay, so we'll just take this clip out and we'll literally work into the nape. All right, so again, it depends on the density of the hair. You've got loads and loads of hair and you want to give it a bit more shape, you could layer this a little bit, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we're just going to layer this through a little bit. Okay, we want to keep some of the length, so we're not going to connect it. It's too short there. I feel like to connect it. Okay, because we'll lift that up. Probably okay. Probably will connect it. All right, so it's good to just check it to make sure we're on the same kind of wave. So I'm just going to work parallel to the parting. So the parting is a light little horseshoe section. So if we can just get that around so we can see the camera angle. So we're lifting this up on the base, and you've got that short piece. You can see a short piece just there from the front, and we're going to connect that through. So we're going to lift it out on the base. Okay, so it's distribution is 90. I'm just going to layer this through. I'm going to work all the way around that kind of like horseshoe section, lifting the hair up. And what does layering do? It takes that weight. Okay, so a lot of hair, so I need to layer it. Okay, so instead of cutting out the outer edge and then cutting the layers later, I just find it's a lot easier to get rid of the bulk, get rid of all the hair now, and then when you cut the outline, it's a little bit faster. Okay, so we've done all that bulk there, just bringing everything up to 90, and then the rest of the hair from his hairline travels up. So the rest of the hair now travels up, all up to that guideline, all at 90. Okay, stepping around the head, combing from underneath, all that hair, up to that guide. So now when you start to see on a profile, you can start to see from his hairline, I'm literally combing all the hair up to that stationary guideline. And it's all point cut through. And we go around again. So we've introduced a layer underneath the curvature of his head to remove a little bit of the bulk. And then we're obviously tidying up the outline as well at the same time. Okay, so that's all finished now with all the layering. Okay, so now what I do, I connect the perimeter in with the front. Okay, so I comb the hair down from the front, and I'll be able to see a short area. And be able to see it's shorter in my fingers, because that's where it was previously. All right, where we literally worked through the front, and now we're literally bringing that down to its natural fall. Point cutting, get a little bit more of a a softer edge to it. Well, bring up to that length. How short you take the length, it's honestly up to you. All coming from your consultation. You know, for me, the biggest mistake as a hair cutter is it's too short. Okay, because if it's too long, you can always cut more off. If it's too short, you can't stick it back on. So the key to any good haircut is making sure you nail your consultation. What does your guy want to get from his haircut? Does he want to maintain the length? Does he feel like it's too heavy? You know, so for me, I always ask open questions when I'm doing a consultation. I always say, what do you love about your hair? What do you hate about your hair? And also, are you using any product in your hair? Do you use any product at home in your hair? If I ask those 3 questions to any of my guys, they have to answer me back, and then they talk to me. And then, you know, if they're using product, what sort of product are they using? Are they using a professional product? Are they using something from a supermarket? You know, so it's getting to the idea of like getting them to use professional products in the salon. So in a way, for us, it's all about upselling. Okay, so little things like that. So questions, all about what you're loving about your hair. Okay, so that's the shape completed within the underneath. If I was working on Cruz's hair and it was a lot finer, then I wouldn't even have to layer it, guys. I wouldn't layer it, okay? So if Cruz's hair was like straighter, a little bit finer, then I would have literally just worked everything parallel to the parting. I would have, as you can see, it's rounded. I would have just literally combed everything down to natural fall and worked it rounded the perimeter. And then through the triangle section through the front, I would have just took it shorter through the front. Yeah, but because Cruz has got a lot of hair and the density of it, and it's curly, I needed to put a cheeky little layer in it. Okay, so if we layered it first, working parallel to the parting, so just literally just parallel to the parting on the base, over directed, parallel to the parting around the curvature of the head, and then over directed, and then we've just done the perimeter. And you can see now, all of a sudden, that's really working on a little modern day shag, and that's what we really wanted to approach. Okay, I'm happy with what we've got going on there. So now we're going to literally work into the bulky area, okay, which is the top. Okay, so working through this top area, working through the back first. I don't want to get too much hair, so I feel like it's a little bit easier to control if you know where what you're trying to achieve. So we'll walk through the back. We'll work the center section right through the back area. Okay, and you can see literally a center section right through the back. Okay, about as wide as the comb. Okay, a little section. And then you work on a profile, you have to see there. I'm going to lift it out on the head at 90. Okay, so it's 90 from the head. I'm working more of a rounded shape. Thinking of the curl pattern. So I want to follow his head shape at 90. How short do you take this? Again, it all comes from your consultation. Do you want volume? Do you want height? Do you like it a little bit flatter? The shorter you take it internally, the more volume you're going to create, because that's what layering does. It also takes weight out, but also if it goes too short, it can also create a lot of volume. Okay, so I don't want to go mega short. So literally decide on a length, and then once you're happy with your decision, you can let it fall. So let that fall out your fingers, and then see where that's going to fall. So you see that length and see where it's going to sit. And if you're happy with that, then you can continue. And what we're doing now is we're over-directing everything into the middle. We're working on a concave layer. All right, so really simple. Okay, so it's 90 from the head, and then we're concaving it into the middle. Okay, and then our last section, okay, is just over-directing into the middle, so we create a nice little soft, seamless layer. Okay, all the way through Cruz's hair. Nice and soft all the way through there. You can see you can shake that out. Okay, so now I'm going to change my body position. I'm going to spin Cruz around, and then I'm going to work on this side. Okay, so I'm going to work now vertical sections through the back, and then over direct everything into the middle. We're using the large blades, like we said earlier. So we're using the 7-inch scissors from Edge. These are a beautiful scissor what we've been using, and we designed it a few years back. But also, also using our famous orange edge comb. This is our comb. It's used by amazing barbers and hairdressers around the world. Some of the best hairdressers around the world use our comb. It's backstage at Fashion Weeks. So this month is Fashion Month. So there'll be a lot of session stylists for using our comb. It's the orange edge comb. It's an 8-inch comb. It's orange, so it stands out. It's a great way of, like, obviously when you're doing scissor over comb or anything like that, when you're doing scissor over comb on dark hair, you can actually see what you're doing. So we designed it because orange, it's my home colours and my football team, if you wanted to know why it's orange. And then we've got inches on the side, the spine's a lot sharper, so it's kind of unique, our comb. And so using a larger comb and larger scissors, what does it mean? You can cut more hair, and obviously you can pick more hair up. All right, and that's what that's all about. So we're pulling everything into the center. So everything's gone into the middle, into Cruz's hair. All right, and then if there's anything hanging over, as you can see, there's a bit of hair hanging over now. So what you'll do now is you just comb the hair down to its natural fall, and then you decide if there's anything falling over. Okay, so you just tidy up the outline. If there's any hair literally just falling over there. And then that is the back completed. Okay, so then what we're going to do now, we're going to literally work into the triangle section within the front, and then that's our whole haircut completed. Cruise your head out to one side. I'm a big believer that, you know, timing is everything. You know, it's like, there's guys out there who just don't want to sit in the salon for an hour and a half. You know, if you work in a salon and you're unisex or you're a barber, you know, you obviously you don't want to be too fast, but you don't want to be too slow as well. So I feel like, you know, 40 minutes behind the chair, 30 minutes behind the chair, you know, in and out is great. But you want something fast or effective. And you're thinking, like, what some of the younger generation wanted. Not everybody wants a fade. You know, for me, fades are amazing, you know, or scissor over comb or clipper work, because, you know, guys maintain that look. Every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, a guy's going to come back and maintain it and maintain it and maintain it. So, yeah, it's really nice to see those kind of shapes. But then some of the younger generation are like, I don't want short back and sides. I want to have it a little bit longer. So that's why we decided today and tonight doing this is to show you a little bit more of a modern take on a shag. All right, so you get a guy comes in and he says, well, I just want a shag. How do I approach it? Okay, so if you approach it by working a triangle and a little curving section, take the weight out, put the shape in underneath, and then introduce a layer through this top area. So now we've got the final section through the top. All right, and then we've got this little triangle section through the top area there. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do exactly the same process of what we did through the back. So a center section, right through the back, right through the top of his head as well. We lift this up on the base, and you'll be able to see there's a short piece here. Okay, this is where we layered it through the crown. So what we're going to do now, we're going to lift this up, and we're going to be 90 from the top of his head, and we're just going to carry that line on. So it's 90 all the way through. So we're introducing some layers or point cut, all right, 90 from the head, and then we're going to over direct into the middle. Okay, so we're still working on that concave feeling. Okay, concave it. It's a really nice, simple technique. When it's simple, like we said, we'll use it behind the chair. Okay, and then pull everything into the middle. Okay, and then what you do then, you just literally comb that rest of the hair down. You can start to see the shape creating, and then like you said before, you might have a overhang. You might have something overhanging because of your concave. So what we'll do now, we just literally just tidy up anything which is falling over. So we go back through the perimeter, and we just check to see if there's anything overhanging. It's just going to be a slight little overhang. Just comb that down to its natural fall. following the perimeter from the previous sections you've cut. You just tidy that up. You do exactly the same on the opposite side. Bring that down. He's still keeping all his length, all his shape, just taking a shorter version of what Cruz had before. We used Cruz in our men's collection, and we shot it before all this lockdown happened. And you know, we reached out to Cruz and said, "Hey, do you need a haircut?" And he actually said he's not had a haircut since we cut it last time. It was a little bit longer, grew out really nice. And I said, you know, you're an ideal model for what we're looking for this event today. And you know, that's how we've worked this kind of shape. So you can see then, you literally worked on a little bit more of a rounded kind of feeling. So with the modern day shag, it's all about going shorter at the front, yeah, and then going longer in the back and working with this beautiful texture. And then what I want to do now, I want to work with quite visual now. So I'm working with a little bit more customizing now. So I put my own signature on this haircut. So how can I make it a little bit different? All right, so in this case, what we want to do is I'm looking at the shape and I think, yeah, I love this kind of shape, what we've got, but is it a bit too heavy, wherever, you know, what you see and what I see are always going to be different now, and that's what I love about it, okay? So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go back through the technique of his layer. So I'm going to go back through the layer, I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to work mainly internally here. I'm going to do a technique called brick cutting, okay? So I'm going to use the tips of my blade, so I'm going to get my large blades, and I'm going to just go higher, lower, higher, lower, higher, lower, and I'm going to cut into Cruz's hair a little bit. All right, and what that does, it's just going to break up his curls. All right, it's got beautiful curls, but I don't want it to fall like a shelf. All right, so again, this is very visual. So what you see and what I see will be a little bit different. Some of you might want to slice into his hair. Some of you might want to deep point cut. Some of you might want to do a different technique. Okay. And that's why your guys go to you and somebody else in your shop. You know, we all have a different spin on stuff. Okay, which is good, because if we all did the same haircuts and every client, I think all of us would be bored. So I think it's kind of nice that everyone has a different kind of spin on it. There's lots of ways you can work this shag haircut. You know, some of you might do a shag haircut already in your barber shop or in the salon. And you're like, I do a lot of shags already, and I feel like I do it a different way. So in a way, if you can learn a couple of new things from today, seeing a different approach, so it's very visual like that, and then I can have a look and see how it's all looking. Start to see what it's looking like straight on now as well. It's great because I've got the camera in front of me, just like you are. So in a way, my audience is like my mirror. All right, so I can just shake it all out and I can start to see what's looking good with Cruz's hair. You know, like with that white background, you can start to see like that really nice kind of roundness to the shape. Yeah, all the way through, from a roundness within the fringe, with the roundness within the perimeter, and then taking that bulk out. So what I'm going to do now, I've already got product in it. So if you like product in the salon or in the barber shop and you work product in there, you choose whatever brand of products you're using. I'm not here to promote a particular brand. You all have your favorites. All right. So you could put products in there. For me, if you're working on curly hair, the best product is like anything moisturizing. So anything moisturizing is always nice to put in the hair. So leave-in conditioner, yeah, any kind of moisture creams. And then we've got like a curl cream or a curl spray, you know, or volumizing spray, anything like that, what you want to put into the hair. And then literally I've just got a diffuser, and I'm just literally diffusing his hair. If you don't really dry hair in your shop, you know, you could just let it just dry naturally. Again, everyone's got their own kind of take on it. You know, you get some guys that have only got, you know, on a hair dryer. Okay. And what I'm going to do then, I'll remove the diffuser, and then I'm going to put it on a full blast, but on a cold air. All right, so I'm going to do it like a power shot of cold, just to break it up. All right, so what that does, it breaks up the curls even more. So if you've never done this before, get this on cold. This is what you do. We do a lot of like photo shoots and stuff like that, really bringing out that texture even more. I don't want it to go fluffy or frizzy. All right, I want to control the curl. So it's all about diffusing and a cold power shot. You really got to get that cold all the way through. It's a bit like going back to beauty school and doing that like alpha to beta, you know, like breaking it down and getting that texture coming through. Now all of a sudden, I get a lot of inspiration when I see do men's hair from music and iconic times. So I can look at this now in his hair and I think of different eras, different music, yeah, and really breaking up his kind of the hair there as well. Okay, so that's on a cold shot, and really breaking that up, and then you can start to see what you've got going on now. And if you feel like that's too big, yeah, you can just literally flatten it, yeah, control it. I'm a big believer, I prefer to go bigger, and then I can always break it down even more, yeah. You can put products in there now and break this down if you wanted to. All right, there's nothing much worse than you do on a guy that feels like he's got a wig on. All right, so we want to make sure that, you know, it's workable for him. But I can go really big if you want to, but I don't want to go too big, so I want to keep that flat. All right, and now I start to look at the shape and think, is there anything else I don't like about it? All right, before you let your gent go, is there anything you don't like about this shape? Yeah, so then what you could do then, you can go in now visually again, and do a technique called twist cutting. Yeah, so I'm just going to go in now visually and look at his curls and break it up a little bit. And I'm just going to literally just grab a bit of hair, I'm going to twist. Yeah, just twist. And then I'm going to use the bottom of the blade where you don't use it a lot. Yeah, and I'm just going to nip into the hair a little bit. All right, I'm just going to nip into it. I'm just going to do a little bit of twist cutting. Yeah, just to break it up. So a little bit of personalizing. I don't really want to go through the top on this. I don't want to get any more, I don't want to get any volume in there. The layers are long enough to not give me loads and loads of volume. If I took this shorter, the layers, it would create more like a fro. And I didn't want to go that way. Okay, so beautiful, natural curly hair. It's meant to be a shag. I know we're taking inspiration from the 70s, from the shag, and the fro was a very popular haircut back in the 70s, but I didn't want to go around and start to, all of a sudden go from a little bit of a, The Doors, Jim Morrison, or Mark Bolan, go from that kind of era into something Motown, and all of a sudden I've gone into a fro. All right, so think of those kind of like different artists, different music, what you like there, break it up. And as for me, I love looking at different eras. People will come on our classes. We have a lot of classes here in our academy. We're here located downtown in San Diego, and we do a lot of education. We do education every single month. We do online education. So if you're watching this and you're in a different part of the world, and you think, I can't get to California, but I'd love to see Anthony do a class, a little bit more of our cutting. We do virtual classes at the moment. So we're doing virtual classes live on Zoom, and you can pay, and we do a hands-on haircutting class. We can do private stuff for your own salon, for your own barber shops, where you can just book us privately, and you can have a one-on-one kind of class. Or if you don't mind coming to California, and we're in downtown San Diego, you can come for a day, 1, 2 days, 3 days, and learn different techniques. So if you want to see more from what we do, from all our classes, we have a website. You're more than welcome to check out the website. It's edge74.com. And we have all our tools on there, all our classes on there, and you can have a little look at like what's happening within Edge. But I take a lot of inspiration for guys from music and from different eras. All right, that's what I love to look at. I look at different shapes and I think, what do I love about it? Okay, and I think the trick is when you're working with this kind of texture and stuff, is knowing when to stop. We really like this kind of shaggy, kind of messy shape on crews. You know, he's the kind of guy who just wants to wash it and leave it. You know, I don't want it too big, like I said before. I like it when it's a little bit more flatter, a little bit more lived in as well. But before we finish or anything, we wanted just to share with you that, you know, this is a nice modern day take on a shag. But we also wanted to show you some other pre-done kind of shapes, what I feel like what's really key trends at the moment in men's hair. Okay, because a lot of people always talk to us, because obviously we do ladies collections, we bring out a collection of haircuts every year, and that's what our education's about. So our latest collection is called Moving, where we've broken up 9 haircuts into strength, texture and movement. And with the boys, what we've done this year, we've broken it into decades instead. So I feel like, you know, what's really hot from the 50s is like a little rocker kind of shape. They're called pompadour or a quiff all the way through, so you could do something like that. Then when you go into like the 70s, you've got like the little shag haircut, which we've worked on Cruise. Then we go into like the 80s, then you can talk about something like the mullet. So if you look at this is pre-done. We just worked on this just to give you a little bit of an idea of some of the shapes we work on. Okay, so it's a little bit of a mullety kind of feeling, as you can see, length at the back. So when you look at it, if I just literally take that away, that back there, that just looks like a little short crop. If I'm doing this on a boy, then I would say it's a crop. If I was doing it on a lady, then I'd say it's more like a pixie. All right, so how did I approach this haircut? So what we did, we broke it down into 3 sections. It's a horseshoe, and then a horizontal section to the ear. We literally worked vertical graduation all the way around the middle tier of the hair. The top of the hair is square all the way through. And then we left out the perimeter in the mullet. So we left out all that mullet to play around with. Believe it or not, the mullet is coming back in a big way. And I feel like, you know, it's very non-binary. It's all about, you know, there's a lot of ladies out there who like this shape. There's a lot of guys out there at this shape. You know, all of a sudden, you know, you just seem like someone like Miley Cyrus who's just rocking out a mullet. Her dad rocked out a mullet back in the 70s and the 80s. Now she's following the mullet trend as well. All right, so for me, that's another key trend. So a shag, a mullet. Then you're going into the 90s. So we've done the 80s, and then they're going into the 90s. Believe it or not, this kind of boy band kind of hair is coming back in a way. You know, many years ago, I cut Robbie Williams from Take That. I cut his hair like this back in the 90s, and it's got a little bowly kind of shape. So how we approach this, horizontal through the sides, bringing everything down to its natural fall, just showing like the earlobe. And then through the back area, we worked on a little bit more of a rounded graduation. All right, and you can see it just really hooking the head shape nicely, making sure that the weight sits below the occipital bone, and then you know, working like a set of curtains. For me, when I did this back in the 90s, what was really big at that time was cap highlights and things like that, so like, you know, streaks and stuff like that. So, you know, that's all coming back again, because the 90s is kind of like, for the younger generation, that's kind of old school. For some of the maturer hairdressers or barbers who are watching, you probably go, I used to do this every day on everybody. But believe it or not, certain trends are coming back. So you've got like, you know, short back and sides, scissor over comb, fades, classic kind of haircuts for men are always going to be in trend. But like what you're starting to see and evolve in men's hair is maybe 90s, the 80s mullet, or a 70s kind of shag. All right. So hope you've enjoyed our little presentation today and tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure to come online and share with you what Edge Academy is all about. Like we said earlier, we do 1 day, 2 day and 3 day education. We have scissors available, so you're more than welcome to check them out. We have a 6.25 and a 7-inch offset shear. And then we have our famous orange edge comb. So I'll get Cruz to take his mask off. You know, I'll do my little social distance. I'll let him take his mask off, and you can have a little closer look of the shape. Okay, and we'll go from there. I'll take that cape off in. There we go, and you can take your mask off, Cruz. And there you have it. There you've got a real modern day, you know, everyday wear, modern day shag. So let's go on a profile. You can start to see the shape coming more of a rounded kind of feel, taking out all that bulk in the nape area, and then really going for that kind of modern day shape. So thank you very much for tuning in, guys. For now, stay safe and let's all keep creative.
Good morning, world. Welcome to Iowa City, Iowa, home of Thompson & Co. My name is Bobby Thompson, and I was last year's winner of the USA's British Barber Hall of Fame. Now, what we're going to talk about today is doing a little bit of function and dysfunction all in one. What am I talking about? A little party in the back, a little business up front. Yeah, that's the mullet. That's right. What better way to do something big and loud like USA does than doing the mullet here today? So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce my brave partner over here, Avery. He's going to come on over, and we're going to start the process. All right. So if you guys can see, and it's kind of starting to dry up a little bit, I pre-sectioned some of the stuff on Avery's hair using a little bit of molding cream from British Barber. Even though this is going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to use a lot of different elements, we're going to use a razor. We're going to use a clipper, okay? Like I said, function, dysfunction, okay? It's still going to be very systematic. And a couple of things that I do just from the very beginning to the start is I understand where and how I'm going to cut. So I did a little bit of pre-cutting just around the sideburn area just because of the mask here that we have to wear. But if you notice, I used my mirror and I created symmetry within the hairline. Now, I did not go to the deepest recession point because I want to leave a little bit of this hair down here to fall. And this is going to be a little bit of a design line, a style aspect that I'm going to use in this haircut. If I go too high up, I may lose the ability not only to use this as a PC edge or design line, I might go up into his parietal ridge and create a rounding, which is what I do not want to do. What that would do is it would make this hair up here, as it grows out, stick out, and it would really push this hair on top up and out. I do not want that, okay? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to figure out how I want to cut this hair. And a lot of the times, you know, people you'll see will just jump in and start cutting. For me, what I want to do is I want to cut parallel to my section always. So what I'm going to do is using a pair of clippers, I'm just going to go clipper over comb technique. I don't want this to be necessarily perfect, but I'm going to get it really nice and clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right above the ear, and I'm going to start working parallel to that shape that I want, which is that mullet look. And I'm going to start just going with a slight movement forward and back. Allowing the hair to fall out. Now, if you notice, Avery's got really thick, awesome hair. If I were to cut that too short as that grows in, that's what I was talking about before, you're really going to get some issues with the hair pushing and sticking out. Why? Short hair always holds up long hair, and that's where we get in some trouble. So I'm just going to clean up this edge. Now you can go as long and as short as you want here. This is really the artist, you know, you get to be the artist, you get to choose. So I'm not going to go to a bald fade or anything like that, but I am going to keep it clean. Starting at the bottom of my section, I'm just going to work out. Now as I get to the top of the ear, I'm going to C-shape down. It's almost like a crescent moon. If you notice, I open my blade up. And I work against the hair grain. This will clean up that edge, and I'm not white walling him because I'm allowing a 45-degree angle with my blade to take that hair down shorter. Now, coming back, I'm not going to go against the grain. I'm going to go with the grain and softly fade that up. Now, one of the things that I'm noticing and that I'm paying attention to is where on the head am I, okay? I'm not going to make a line and fade it out like I would with a really strong, sharp fade, but what I'm doing is I'm understanding the points of his head, where the recession points are, and I'm noticing that I want to keep it low and tapered, so I'm using that deepest recession point as where I'm trying to stay close to with my tapering and my fade. Again, this cut is supposed to have all the feels of a little dirty, a little nasty, and a little bit of fun. Actually, let's take that back. A lot of bit of fun. So I continue to work back, and I'm pulling that section out, allowing my clipper to elongate the hair as I come back. I like to do clipper over comb. I do some guard work. For me, clipper over comb allows me to not only cut the shape of the hair, but also blend the hair at the same time, and I'm creating less line. So I got my first side complete. I'll check it in the mirror. I'll come back to the other side. Now I've already had this pre-parted off. Again, I checked my mirror. I'm constantly checking my mirror for balance. Again, moving in the direction. This is going to be a little bit against the grain because of his colic. I have to be aware of that, but I'm still moving parallel